So hi YouTube fam, welcome to the second episode of Grilling. And by the way, I forgot to mention that the coffee that I had in the previous episode was none other than this delicious mushroom coffee with chocolate. And sweetened with none other than monk fruit. Yes, that's how you do it. Or one way you can do it. Anyway, now I've actually got this delicious red drink with a Texan reference right there. Let's taste it. Oh, so good. And what is that, you may be asking? Need some vitamin C? Get some Ultima. It's fantastic. At this point, let's check in on what we got grilling. Alright, so I've got 7 pork chops. Now, these 3 right here are seasoned with Bad Byron's butt rub. Quite excellent, scrumptious. Now, the remaining 4, which look a little bit more red, are seasoned with Jezebel. Spicy, saucy, so good. Now, I'm most of the way done with the grilling process, but I'm just gonna flip them one more time. 1, 2, 3. Look at that. 4. Oh yeah, 5, 6, and 7. Hope my cameramanship was good enough for you to see all that, but there you go. Now, while I let it rest a minute or so, actually it's not quite resting at the resting stage yet, it's more cooking its final bit, I'd like to read you a small tiny bit from The Way of Chuang-Tzu, as compiled by Mr. Thomas Merton, a theological hero I love. So, in this section, he writes as follows: I can't tell if what the world considers happiness is happiness or not. All I know is that when I consider the way they go about attaining it, I see them carried away headlong, grim and obsessed in the general onrush of the human herd, unable to stop themselves or to change their direction. All the while, they claim to be just on the point of attaining happiness. For my part, I can't accept their standards, whether of happiness or unhappiness. I ask myself if, after all, their concept of happiness has any meaning whatever. My opinion is that you never find happiness until you stop looking for it. My greatest happiness consists precisely in doing nothing whatever that's calculated to obtain happiness. And this, in the minds of most people, is the worst possible course. All hold to the saying that perfect joy is to be without joy. Perfect praise is to be without praise. If you ask what ought to be done and what ought not to be done on earth in order to produce happiness, I answer that these questions don't have an answer. There's no way of determining such things. Yet at the same time, if I cease striving for happiness, the right and the wrong at once become apparent all by themselves. Contentment and well-being at once become possible the moment you cease to act with them in view. And if you practice non-doing, which is the art of wu-wei, you'll have both happiness and well-being. Here's how I sum it up. Heaven does nothing, but its non-doing is its serenity. Earth also does nothing, but its non-doing, guess what, is its rest. I actually inserted a couple words there that weren't supposed to be there. But anyway, while I take the pieces of meat, delicious pork chops off the grill, let's consider some implications. first and foremost, the other day, my dad tried starting the very grill which I'm using. But he was wondering why it wasn't starting, and he tried starting it like right off the bat. And what I told him was, well, normally, just the thing with our grill, it takes me at least 10 minutes of wait time after starting the gas in order to even attempt starting to light the fires so that the meat can grill. And actually, it also reminds me of that idiom we have that a watched pot never boils. Isn't it funny how that works out? Kind of wait like what feels like an eternity, and it just doesn't seem to start. But if you do wait that eternity, pass the time doing something else, it's all fine and good. I'm at the stage where I actually need to turn off the last part of the grill here, so I'm gonna do that. Kind of close that off there. And then I always like to test it one more time to see if the ignition works with it turned off. Okay. So, I have the pieces of finished meat right here. Oh, yeah! Look at that. Now, to conclude, I'd like to note that something else that, actually two things. The first thing is that, along with that watched pot analogy, is, and the reading that I did, is that one perennial idea, and perennial means some idea that pops up again and again throughout history, throughout different cultural contexts and such, is that whatever we try to define, or whatever our image or metaphors are about, say, God, those are great, and they serve many valuable purposes. And there's a whole long tradition that's called cataphatic theology that's all about that. But there's also this very neat, long-established tradition that kind of sits alongside that cataphatic tradition. And what I'm talking about right now is the apophatic tradition. The apophatic tradition basically says that all of our God talk is great and good, but it has limits. The metaphors break down at some point. So I kind of wonder, and this is a thought I've encountered every now and then, maybe sometimes what we need to do after building up our images and metaphors of God is to kind of just strip them all down, kind of sit in awe and wonder and silence. Not trying to figure out God, but just trying to, be amazed by the present moment. I could probably go off on more tangents like that, but that's something for now. And then, now for the actual concluding note, you may have wondered what shirt I'm wearing right now. And it's none other than the latest design by Mr. Fritz Henrichs, who is the tutor of Escondido Tutorial Services. Fantastic Great Books program. Wonderful people. Love them all. And with that said, I hope you've enjoyed this second installment. As a Christian Dudeist Priest, may the force of God be with you, and may the odds be ever in your favor. Weston signing out.